Hey folks, hope you're well. Couple of little bits with this video before I start. If you hear the washing machine in the background or it gets a bit jumpy in parts, I'm in the doghouse a little bit after yesterday because I paused the washing machine that had like 15 minutes left on it and then forgot to turn it back on. And when Claire went out to get the washing out at like 10:30, it wasn't done, and then when she pressed play, the 12 minutes left took another like 35 minutes, and we were both just knackered, and she was so disappointed in me for forgetting that I've just thought I'm going to leave it on tonight because it's not that noisy and I'm hoping it won't disrupt anything. The other thing I noticed was literally every night when we sit down to eat dinner as a family, I always say, move over him, come on, you're basically sat where I'm sitting, because her chair's basically on mine and she's there eating her dinner with me just like in the corner. And I've realised just this moment when I went to sit down that the reason that's happening is because every night after we've eaten dinner and they go upstairs, I move the chair so that I can record at this angle. And it's all my fault. Bless her, I've been not having a go at her, but I've been making her move like daily for at least, well, it's got to be at least a year. It's just a constant routine. I'm like, come on, move over, I do this every day. And it's just become this, why are you always in my spot? And it's my fault. So feeling like a little bit of a monster. I'm trying to get it out of my head. I knew what I was going to talk about before that. Yeah, we also, bless him, I mentioned that Ollie got an invitation from one of his classmates to sit on the golden table by this girl in his class. When he told me, I was like, that's really good. Messaging his teacher saying, is this real? Was he invited? Because he's got a habit of misunderstanding. In the past, he's asked someone if he can be on the table. They've gone, yeah, all right. And then they've not taken him. He's got really upset. And we got like a message about how upset he was and blah, blah, blah. So I just messaged the teacher. She checked with the girl and she was like, yeah, no, I invited him. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. And then I stressed to him, she might change her mind. Teacher was prepared for if that happened. And then today, she invited someone else. And he was very... I thought he'd kicked off because he was hiding from me, wouldn't tell me what happened. But when he told me, it was literally just that when a teacher said, so who are you taking? She went, her. And he was just like, and well, he didn't exactly say it like that. He was just like, I was just really disappointed. And yeah, I said, did you shout? Did you say any mean thing? He was like, no. And I was like, I'll find out. And I believe him when he tells me because he knows that I'll find out otherwise and it'll be worse for him then. I said, I'm impressed that I didn't get a call from the head or a message from the teacher because that means it must have been fine, and high fives for him. So yeah, bless him. I'm a bit disappointed because he doesn't know what this golden table thing is exactly. He's never been on it. He's just like, yeah, I think I get the hint from his teacher that she's probably going to make sure he earns it at some point. But I did say to him, just ask, what do I need to do to be able to get on it, and then do it. But he sees that as effort, which he was like, oh, I can't be bothered. And it was just like, well, you're not going to get on the table then, are you? So to the point of the video, we got the letter today telling us all about Oliver's diagnosis. Like officially, it's there on black and white paper. It was interesting to read. And I thought from the point of view of like living it, it was weird because I opened the envelope and I'm like, okay, I guessed that when it says for the parent or guardian of him, that I was like, yeah, okay, that's me, and this is going to be the proper diagnosis. And it just says I had a telephonic consultation, so not just over the telephone, telephonic, with me on the 29th of January, and concluded the outcome of the test. So I'm not going to read the whole letter, but she said his ADOS score was 14. And I was like, what does that mean? What does it mean? It just goes on like that at first. So I put the letter down, got the phone out, was just looking through what on earth does an ADOS score mean? Is that out of 100 and 100's one way and 1's the other way? What is it? Who knows? So after like 20 minutes of faffing around on these sciencey looking websites, I ended up on Mumsnet of all things. And there was a mum on there who'd broken it all down and gone to great lengths. For the stuff I referenced for this, I'm going to put it in the comments, so that in the description below, so people can look at it if they ever come across this. If my tagging ability is good enough that you find this via the things you're looking for like I was, then great, search engine optimization works. Otherwise, if you lot are interested, just read it. So I put in there, what does an ADOS score mean? How do I interpret it? And this mum on Mumsnet, who I'm not going to lie, I didn't get references from her. I didn't ask her what qualifications she had. It was just a post, but it was very thorough looking. It was the most liked post in the thread. It was linked to from another website, and it basically said this mum knows what she's talking about. So I thought, I'm aware that that's not really a reliable source. But she said it's scored out of 22. That 22 is like the most autistic score you can get on that test. Just on the ADOS, it doesn't mean you're more autistic or less autistic than somebody else. It just means in the ADOS test, the meeting, the thing the lady measures you on, 0, I guess, and 1 are the lowest scores, and 22 is the highest. A score between 7 and 12 means you are showing mildly autistic traits. A score of 12 and above shows that you have autistic traits, and it's like you reliably autistic. They can safely say the person sat in here is in all likelihood autistic. So getting 14 puts Ollie a little bit over the line. So two. I don't know if you count 12 or not. It was kind of vague the way but 14 is a solid, autistic. There's not like it's not mild, it's autistic, sorted. I know that there isn't a spectrum as such anymore, that people are considered highly and low and Asperger's and that kind of thing anymore. That's not what this is diagnosing. This is just saying in all the scores, he scored us autistic in these traits. He showed us autistic. So that's what she ticked on her box. It went to the doctor, who then looked at everything else. So then she said, she didn't word it like this, is how my notes were, but she put that previous information from the parents on the Cambridge questionnaire, the scores were quite high for autism rating scale. The English on this is a bit off. I remember his score, if you scored over 30, it was considered potential for being autistic. And I mean, I scored like 30, so I was just under over 30 is the line. I was 30. Ollie scored, I think it was that one was out of 50, and his score was something like 42. There is a video where I talk about this. His score was high. I had friends who scored in the high 30s. I believe Kev from Kevin Chapman's family, Kevin Chapman, the YouTuber, he scored 38 or something like that. Ollie was somewhere in the 40s out of 50 on that. So we were kind of like, okay, that is high again. Now, I didn't know this one, but school did a GARS questionnaire. And reading about, I'd never heard of this. I thought they did the same thing we did, and that they'd got like a similar, high 30s, low 40s sort of score. But the GARS questionnaire is scored out of, it doesn't actually say what it's scored out of, to be honest. I was reading the website. I'll put the link to this below as well. But if you score 69 and below, you're considered neurotypical. If you score between 70 and 84, you're considered possibly autistic. And if you score 85 plus, it's very likely you're autistic. Now, Oliver scored 111 on that one from the school, which put him into the extremely likely, which I remember when we went in to visit the doctor, that's what she had on her screen in like massive, I think she'd accidentally zoomed in on the letter in the background. I always feel like she was sending us a message, because we were kind of like, well, we haven't been given any information, it's all been really vague, and in the background over her shoulder it just said, very likely to be autistic. And I always remember that, just how, like, I'm making the statement to her and it was just written there, and I was like, well, there's a sign. I mean, I'll take that as given. She never expressly said that, it was just written on the screen behind her. So yeah, putting all that together, the doctor was like, in all likelihood, based on all the evidence, based on the school's opinions, based on the parents' opinions, based on the ADOS, it's a pretty solid score. So she's going with that, autistic. So she's rounded that off with just, she said, overall, this does look consistent with autism, and Dad agrees. So I feel a bit like, if I'd have gone, no, I don't agree, what would it have said? Dad didn't agree, but, I'm a doctor, so my opinion is irrelevant on this letter. Like, I'm glad I do agree, but weird. So she sent out the autism information pack with a copy of the letter. Now, I just got this, and I was just like, okay, that's a lot of pages there, especially with NHS budget cuts and all that malarkey. 3 of them were blank note pages, which, go into more detail about this. I'm a little bit unimpressed. At first I was like, oh, that's a lot of pages. It's 21 pages long. Pages 4 and 5 are devoted to autism, and then 6 through to 18 are other SEN requirements. So this is a generic book that they send to people with dyslexia, dyspraxia, cerebral palsy, juvenile arthritis, cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, emotional well-being and mental health. So yeah, already it's limited it down to 2 pages. I was like, it explains what autism is. And I was like, okay, but this has taken 2 years to get to for Ollie. I'm pretty sure most people, if you haven't Googled it by this point, you should have Googled it. I mean, come on. It lists a few places to find out more. So Autism Independent UK, Autism Links, where we live in Lincolnshire, Lincolnshire Autistic Society, National Autistic Society, Parents and Autistic Children Together, and it just kind of goes on there with other different bits and bobs. So I was a bit like, well, I know all those places. I tried to look at one of them and the website didn't load, so I think it's a little bit outdated as well. But flicking through to the end, there are some bits in there I'm quite surprised that they've actually listed, and I've got access to emailing them. You know, the Ed Psych team who came in really early on. When I do the proper process video I want to talk about, the Ed Psych team were instrumental at the beginning, coming into school. The Senko picked them out and got them in, and they just said, yep, that child is autistic, we think, you know, get on the case. They've got health visitors, which I thought actually he's too old for that. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, children's therapy services. So there's lots of things in here about like therapy for teaching him kind of behaviour skills, social communication skills. I mean, there's a school nurse thing in there. I kind of want to get to the bottom of this, not recognising the signs of when he needs to wet and things like that. They were talking about, there's a group in there called the Circles of Support that helps people, autistic people, realise their dreams and aspirations. I thought they'd be worth getting onto. If I convince them that Ollie wants to be an astronaut, maybe we'll go to the moon one day, who knows. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff in the end there. Actually, there was more autism related support things in the additional support services at the back than there were anything else. There was a couple of other kind of physical disability teams, but there's quite a bit there. I'm actually quite relieved that there was a bit. The letter does go on more and more about the QB test for ADHD. Now, this video isn't really about that because Oliver's ultimately, he puts it, I've explained to Dad, we'll support with the autism, but there's some traits, but there's not enough here to justify an ADHD diagnosis. So currently they're just going to crack on with autism and they'll review ADHD in the future. Now it says that in their QB test, he scored 74 activities, which I kind of Googled this, I was like, 96 for attention span, and 32 for impulsivity. Now, I'm kind of confused, to be honest. If I was guessing what they meant based on knowing Oliver, I guess the activity one was kind of how active they were during the test. I am thinking that he scoring lower on that, as 70 out of 100, let's say, means that he was a little bit fidgety, but he wasn't just bouncing off the walls, and I would assume that would be a lower score. Attention span 96, I think that's probably that he was fixated on it and he didn't really worry, he wasn't that distracted kind of thing. And then impulsivity at 32, perhaps he was clicking a bit too more, because when I was talking to him he was sort of saying that the machine, he just wasn't sure and he kept missing it, and then he'd click, and I just thought, yeah, that sounds about right. That's how I'd have expected it to go. So I have no idea. If you know, let me know, because I Googled the heck out of that. And one thing I'm noticing a lot with this is that for autism, there is stuff everywhere online about it. You can get information left, right and centre if you look, and it is really thorough, and people have really broke it down, and where it's not clear, someone's already ranted about it and they've got that information put there, and that's really great. ADHD, I'm feeling relieved that we're not trying to figure this out, because I could find no help, and I'm genuinely thinking that needs highlighting to somebody somewhere, that there was nothing about that. When I typed in QB test, all I was getting was the company that made the tests, and there was no how to interpret the answers. There was no what this means or what that means or what this would score higher at. It was very, very vague, and I spent way more time today looking up those instructions, because I kind of just thought, I don't know, if 96 was low attention span, then, and that was the worst score on there, as it is, and that he was less impulsive somehow, and I'd completely misinterpreted it, then I'd be surprised, and I'd want to know how far off he was. If they're like 5 away from what would be considered ADHD, then I want to know. If he's miles off it, then I'm not too worried about revisiting it quickly. I'll just get to it if we get to it. But we did agree it seemed unlikely, so I'm taking it in the context that she gave it. But it does feel odd that that is it. That piece of paper, I'm trying to make sure there's nothing personal on there before I turn the cover. But it is just one piece of A4 paper, just basically going, boom, you spent a lot of time and effort on this and you've been stressing about it for a year, and there it is. So we've got a photocopy of that now, take it to school. They're going to get the autism outreach team in. Peterborough have got their great team that will come in and they'll say, have you considered doing this, that and the other, whatever, I don't know. And that'll be justified for that. We can use that letter to justify applying for disability allowance, for the disabled badge. We went to do these things and it was like, we haven't actually got any proof, and they're going to want proof, so we haven't done it yet. The key we still haven't got. I know we can just get that. That's not really dependent on this. It's effectively, when I went through everything we were going to sort a week and a half ago, we didn't do any of it because we realised we needed this letter before we could do it. So, yeah, I'm excited to think we're going to crack on. I'm excited that I got the letter and it actually says what she said on the phone, because I always worried I just dreamt it or something stupid, which seems really silly, but I just worry that I didn't understand what she was saying or something like that, even though it was very clear. But they've also, and you'll notice if you've been watching since the beginning, they've also had a habit of saying, I told Dad on the phone this, that and the other, and I'm like, no you didn't. Like, you absolutely never, you said the opposite. And I've had to go back to them, I've had to ring them and get them to send out a new letter telling me what they actually said, because their admin got confused. So I was fully expecting to get a letter saying he's not autistic, and Dad's agreed with that, and we're shutting the case, see you all later, or something stupid. But no, it's all gone good, it's all gone well, and yeah, I think for this whole thing, I didn't really expect to be doing a video, but there was just so much to try and think about on that sheet that I thought it'd be good to run through it. But if you have found this via you don't know how to interpret the scores, I hope the links in the below bit help you. But let me know as well, because that'd be really interesting. I just don't know whether I've set it up right. Let me know, I guess, if you had the same sort of problem, or if there's other sites I could have used to work this out, or if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then I'll have to put a note out and delete the video or something, I don't know. But yeah, relieved it's all sorted, relieved it's going well. Ollie's had a really good time at school since. I feel like, I don't think they tweaked much because they were doing really well anyway, but it's helped. And I saw the head yesterday and he was really happy to see us and was all chatty, and I just thought, yeah, let's hope that that's all sorted, job done, let's crack on with life and just forget about this shenanigans. But yeah, hope you're all well. Let me know how your day's gone, let me know how your week's going. Any questions, let me know as usual. Subscribe, like, comment, all that. Yeah, I'm done. Speak to you soon. Cheers.